How is like kind of the process to get into the consciousness? That if you follow some kind of path.
Has she been following Ramana's teachings? Does she know about this?
Yes,
So,
I read Sankara, Ramana, and Nisardagatha, and practice.
Has she practiced self-inquiry, Ramana's teachings?
Self-inquiry.
¿Qué?
¿Usted ha practicado self-inquiry?
¿Quién soy, no?
Who I am?
The purpose of asking who am I is not to get an answer that you think about or decide. So what Bhagavan is saying is that all the things that go on in your mind, everything you think, everything you perceive, the thoughts and the perceptions are coordinated by something inside yourself. And he said, to ask yourself who am I is to transfer attention from the object that you are thinking or perceiving, your thoughts, your memories, your perceptions, and instead put it on that thing inside yourself which is registering the thoughts and the perceptions. Is that your idea of being a person can only exist if you are associating with thoughts and perceptions. If you are not having that association, then this I is just an idea that cannot survive by itself. So he said, if you take attention away from the things it wants to think about, the things which it perceives, and put attention just on this experiencing I, it cannot remain in isolation. It has to sink and disappear. So the process of inquiry is to move attention from the object the mind wants to think about to the subject which thinks, and if you can stop it from making new associations, then it has to sink and disappear. But he said, if you have a job that requires your intellect, then when you go to work, put your full intellect on the job. If you have a family, look after your family properly. But in all the spare time that you have, try to be aware of this thing inside you, which is looking at things, coordinating things, remembering things, and keep your attention there.
¿Y de qué forma eso cambió la vida de él? ¿Cuál es su experiencia?
That's a good question. It makes me very quiet, it makes me very peaceful, it makes me very happy. Bhagavan said happiness is your true nature, but you pretend to occupy a body, and that pretense hides your real nature, your true happiness. That was his basic message. But by thinking I am a person inside this body, you cover up the true nature of what you are, which is the happiness, the peace. And he said, if you can eliminate this person who thinks I live inside this body, then all other problems will go with it.
No entiendo de Ramana y Shiva, ¿cómo es esa relación?
This mountain, Arunachala, is believed by Shiva devotees to be Shiva himself, rather than a place where he comes or has some stories. The rock itself is a physical manifestation of Shiva, and he said that he and Arunachala were one and the same. They were identical. So he was saying he was identical with Shiva.
¿Siente que ha tenido experiencia de suspensión del yo? No cuerpo, no sensación,
No
nada
body,
así.
no sensation.
Occasionally. Not permanent.
How long can it last for you? Or the time disappears in that
You're not aware of time when it happens, and then it goes away and you're back in time again.
¿Y en qué situaciones? consigue suspender el yo cuando está en meditación, cuando está en su casa.
Or when you are...
This is a good question. All of the times it has happened to me have been in the presence of teachers who have realized the self, and I sit in their presence, they look at me, and I also experience that self.
¿Interna al gurú o externa?
External. Several people who were direct disciples of Ramana I have been with, plus people such as Nisardagatha Maharaj, you know him?
Nisardagatha?
Papaji, Lakshmana Swami, many people. They all have that experience, and they all have that power to show it to other people.
You know Nisardagatha? Have some difference Nisardagatha with Ramana or the same?
I think they are very, very close. Some of their vocabulary is different. The way they give names to certain aspects of consciousness, but I think their message is the same.
How many times do you stay with Nisardagatha?
I was going from 1978 to 1980. He had a very small room, only about 30-35 people could sit there. So the amount of time you could stay was rationed. So after you had been there maybe 2 weeks, he would say, new people are coming, you've been here 2 weeks, you can go, the new people need some space. But if you left, you could come back after 2 or 3 months and then do 2 more weeks. So this is what I did.
I want to know if in this experience, when you have this experience or go to the space, profound space, and to the eyes disappear, do you have revelations, inspirations on things? Do you have or comprehension of?
No, it's just incredible silent peace, stillness, no thoughts, no ideas. But there's an irrefutable knowledge of what you are. That's all that's left.
What do you feel? What do you see about the death, morte?
Death.
Death.
What do you feel?
What do I think about death?
Yeah.
Death is for the body. If you realize the self, then you know that you are not the body. The disappearance of the body makes no difference to who or what you are. If you are not in that state, if you think I'm a body and you identify with that body, then that identification will move forward and it will take a new form and give you more problems next time also. Bhagavan taught that it's your unfulfilled pending desires which don't die with the body, and they will manifest again in a new form so that you can enjoy and experience all these desires later. So when your desires are all ended, then there is no more birth. He said you can't have a rebirth if you have no desires.
Si no hay renacimiento, ¿cómo siente el más allá?
You know yourself to be the unmanifest self. You know that all manifestation is just an appearance in that self, but you don't identify with any of it.
Do you or Ramana believe that all souls are together as one, but in different bodies?
The soul is the idea that there is somebody who occupies a form. You cannot have a soul unless it's associated with a form. So what Bhagavan is saying is that any identification with a form is ignorance, it's temporary, it has no fundamental reality, and once you get rid of that identification, then the soul, the jiva, the individual vanishes. It doesn't become one with the self, it just disappears. It's a processing error in the brain. Processing error in the brain. All your information from the senses comes in, and you organize it in such a way it makes it look like there is somebody in there who lives there. So it's the processing mechanism that makes you imagine that you're a person. So imagine Arunachala is there, and you are cross-eyed like this, huh? You see two mountains. So you ask the question, how do I get from the top of one mountain to the top of the next mountain? And the only correct answer is get some good glasses. Get your perception properly organized, and you will understand there is only one mountain, and you cannot travel from the top of one mountain to the next. So that this is what Ramana is saying. He says you think there is an individual soul who has to move to the real self. He said that's just your ignorance. It's just like the two mountains. You've processed the information incorrectly. See what's really there without seeing it through this distorted idea, and then you'll see only self is there.
No entendí lo que significa Shiva para él. ¿Qué significado?
La manifestación del yo.
La
Shiva.
manifestación del yo. Claro,
en este cuerpo. Y entonces el error es creer que somos eso.
Que somos eso. Sobre ¿cómo describirías si hay un nacimiento espiritual para ti? ¿Hay registros de eso?
You get your true spiritual birth when you realize directly that your physical birth does not define you or limit you. That you are always the consciousness which has no birth. Birth and death are for the body. Consciousness has no birth and no death. If you identify with consciousness, there is no birth and no death, and that is the true birth.
What purpose do you see in life?
Meaning in life.
Finding out who you really are is the only worthy accomplishment, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Do you think this life is for this?
It's the only occasional opportunity you get to do this.
Is it possible to reach this consciousness awareness without a spiritual teacher?
There is a power in someone who is in this state, and that power can show it to you. By yourself, it's very difficult to find it. But you need someone who has realized the self, who stays permanently in that state, and who also has the capacity to show it to other people. That's a very rare combination.
You would read some books from this teacher? It would be difficult anyway, if you read books but you don't read them? And you understand the books?
Yeah, if you understand the words, and those words have come from somebody who has had the experience, then there is a power in those words, and just reading those words can transmit some of the power of the teacher to you. So they put some power into their teachings, and if you allow those words to settle in the right place inside you, then the power of the teacher is coming into you through their words.
How do you feel love?
I think Bhagavan would say that love for something or someone is desire for an object, and that again that reinforces your idea that you're a person inside a body. He said when you know yourself to be the self, then he said that's the true love, because there is no object separate from yourself, which is the recipient. It's not directed towards anything or anyone. It's the state of knowing yourself is love itself.
How do you experience this love? If it's possible to explain.
By eliminating the individual I.
Eliminando el yo.
When the individual I is absent permanently, then only love remains.
Could you describe this love? How you feel it?
No.
No sabía que.
You just know that this is love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's non-directed, that's all. It's not for something, of something. It's an attribute, aspect of who you are.
Would you like to tell us something that we could have skipped, we didn't ask?
Do that practice which I explained at the beginning. Bhagavan always said this is the quickest and most direct way to reach the self and understand what self is. He said everything else is indirect. If you can do that and succeed, then that answers all your questions, solves all your problems.
Do you use something to remind you to be in yourself, to be in this attention?
You have to remind yourself. Every time you notice that your mind is looking at things, remembering things, then you just say, you don't get angry with it, you don't try and squash it, you don't suppress it. You just withdraw attention and you think, who noticed that, who thought that, who thinks this? And then you go back to the coordinating entity which keeps this whole process going. So by regularly reminding yourself, then that increases the number of times that you remember your mind has strayed. So it becomes part of your day. You're always looking at things, going back to the one who looks, remembering things, going back to the one who remembers. It becomes part of your day to withdraw attention and put it instead on what it is inside yourself that thinks these things. I have to go, so I have some books to post and I have to meet somebody. So.
Thank you very much.
Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala